Alrighty, boys, we're here. We're here for the tier list. We have one that I found. What's up with all the tier lists, by the way? All the tier list makers. I need you guys to make some more, okay? I can make it myself, but I am lazy. You know what time it is. Make some more tier lists for the remake. I see all these Resident Evil 4 tier lists, but they're for the old one. Make some for the remake. I'm trying to make more videos. I'm just kidding, but yeah. I found this one. I thought it would be a cool one to make. It is the boss fights and like mini boss fights in Resident Evil 4 separate ways. You guys enjoy those videos? You guys keep viewing those videos, so I thought, why not? Let's do a little tier list, right? We got a little bit more down here as well. We're going to go through them. I'm going to explain my choice for each one, and we're going to go from there. And if you have a different choice, it's cool to be wrong. I understand, but, you know, do better, okay? Let's get right to it. All right. So, first, I kind of want to go in order. Let's see if I remember which order it was. So, in order, the first boss fight was this one right over here. It was Vertigo or Black Robe or whatever. You guys said U3, whatever. Dude in the black robe, all right? This is the first one after you break Luis out of prison jail. I liked it. I liked the fact that it didn't really there wasn't really any flaws in it. I like the fact that it was like you didn't really know what to do once he started like multiplying. Like, oh, should I shoot him? Which one should I shoot? The fact that you had to find him. It was short enough, but also I think it's pretty perfect for a first boss. For a first boss, I think it was pretty perfect. I'm going to put him in ideal. I might move him down, by the way. These are not solidified choices. I might go down a little bit. After that, the second boss fight, if I'm not mistaken... Was it the village one? I think it was the village one with him. I think it wasn't as good as the first one. It was pretty much the same thing as the first one. It was like a carbon copy of the first one, except you're in the village this time. And, it didn't hit the same as the first one, because it just wasn't, you know what I mean? It was like a carbon copy of what happened. I do remember having a little bit more trouble with this one. Sometimes the evade button didn't work for some reason. So I'm going to put it at minor flaws. But they're pretty much the same fight. You fight him in the village. He does the same thing where he kind of like disappears, teleports, and also kind of like multiplies again. So yeah, we'll keep it at that. It was pretty much a continuation. And since it was a continuation, the first is better than the second. Always. You know the rules. Next, moving on. After that was, if I'm not mistaken, was it this one first or was it the Mendes fight? Okay, so I'm gonna just do the Mendes one first. This wasn't really a fight. You kind of just ran away from him, so you kind of really didn't do anything. So it's pretty trash. You didn't do it. There was no fight at all. Like, all you did was run away from him. Hitting him did nothing. You just got absolutely wrecked if you tried to hit him. And yeah, so that one is that's an L right there. That's a trash tier. Next, let's move on. I think next, if I'm not mistaken, is this one, or it might be these two, because these two came at the same time, really. But this one where she pretended to be Spider-Man, I liked it. Or Spider-Woman, I liked it. I think it was ideal. It was a bit clunky, but even though it was a bit clunky, I liked the concept of jumping on the roofs, jumping around, her grappling and trying to pretend to be Spider-Woman. I thought it was very fun and enjoyable. I think it was one of the most fun and enjoyable fights in the game. Because usually in most fights, you're kind of on the ground and you're... The boss's movement is usually, you're kind of always in an enclosed area when it comes to boss fights in Resident Evil, kind of to give you that fear factor of like, oh my god, this is such a big boss and you don't have much space to move and you have to work with a limited space. The fact that you pretty much could do so much, you know, in terms of movement, I thought it was such a great change of pace. That is ideal. And it was really long too, which you could put under minor flaws, but just the concept of it was so good. I love the concept. I loved it. Next, we have these two jokers right over here. I'm gonna say it could be better. Like, yeah, it's the same fight. They come in at the same time. It's when you're breaking out of the the place where Luis and Leon were held captive, like the factory, the abandoned factory. They come in as you try to leave, and then they fight you one at a time. To be honest with you, I'll probably put it could have been way better. Well, no, that's kind of you know what I mean. You put in the woman below the man. That's kind of messed up. Listen, both of them were pretty easy to take out. They weren't as scary as let's say when Leon was fighting them in the village. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna put it could have been way better. Yeah, and I felt at that moment like you were like if you played the original game, there was just no fear in them really. It was very easy to take out. You had all the weapons to take them out. I'm pretty sure you get the explosive crossbow beforehand too. So very easy, extremely easy. Could have been way better. Could have been utilized way better in my opinion. Right? Maybe he could have popped through a wall because in the original Resident Evil 4 remake, like the two sisters popped out of a wall and Leon did that like backwards flip for no reason. That was kind of cool. When he popped into the village, he really meant some business. In this, what's it called? In Separate Ways, they were not scary at all. It didn't do nothing for me. Next after that we have what is this? Oh, that's the second version of his fight. Okay, I'm about to say. Next after this, I'm pretty sure we had the Knights. Yes? I think the Knights were after. The Knight fight, it was actually not bad. It was not bad. So you started fighting the Knights, and then you were like in this room where there was also crossbows shooting at you as you were fighting the Knights. It was decent. I'm gonna say actually minor. It wasn't bad. It was pretty challenging. Good enough challenge. But it wasn't really a boss fight. Okay, I'm going to put it could have been better because it wasn't really like a boss fight. This was like a minor boss or like, you know, an area that you had to kind of clear. So I'm going to put it could have been better. If there was like an ultimate dude in armor like they had for the request in the original Resident Evil 4 remake, how it was a request to get like that golden armor knight. If that same golden armor knight was a boss, I probably would have put it one above. But it wasn't really any boss. It was more of like just a big amount of just the regular knights. So I'm putting out could be better. Next I think is the Garrador fight, if I'm not mistaken, or was it this? I think it's Garrador next. The Garrador fights, it could have been way better. I'll put it above these two, but like at first, I'll be honest with you. I don't know why they put both of these when you only fight one of them, right? But, like, you didn't really do much. I feel like Ada already had way too much weaponry for it. There was no real, like, anticipation. There was no cutscene for him. Like in the in the original games version where like Leon falls through the floor and then like kind of like is standing right next to him. It's like, ooh, spooky. And then you're in a really enclosed room with like all the stuff that can make noise. But when you fight him with Ada, you're like in this big open room where you have so much space to move. And there's barely any enemies really that are fighting against you. At that point too, a couple of enemies drop. It's just, there's way too much space. And I'll be honest with you, when I first did it, I ran into that room and I ran past him. And I only noticed him when I turned around trying to see if I missed any loot. So it was very underwhelming. They could have done a lot better with that. They could have had her in like a real trap situation. It just felt like they just put him in there to put him in there. Like a placeholder. Could have been way better. Next we have is the Regenerator. I'm pretty sure. These guys, they always scare me. So I'll give them some respect. I'll put them over here. I'll put them actually above the Knights. But it could have also been way better. The last guy with the spikes, the one that has usually the most pressure points that you have to hit, I'll be honest with you, I destroyed him. I hit him with 3 shots. I hit 2 collats. I don't think you understand me. I destroyed him. I thought it was the easiest fight of my life. And especially since he was in just a long corridor, it was a straight shot, super easy. Obviously, if you missed that, I probably would have peed my pants a little bit, but I didn't miss any shots. It could have been way better, though. I'll be honest with you. Well, could have been better, but because they still scare me. And also, what was more scary than the guy with the spikes, which he was supposed to be the more bigger boss, was the guys without the spikes because it was so tense. Like it was dark. She had her light, the light on, and it just there was barely any noise, and you were moving slowly through each single time, and every single time that one of these guys jumped out, they kind of surprised me too. So they did a little bit more for me than the actual guy with the spikes did, which is supposed to be like the harder version, right? Next, moving on, we have this bad boy right here, Mr. U3. I think it is dog water. Why do I think it's dog water? The evade button. For some reason, if you're just facing even a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, the evade button doesn't pop up, or if it does, it doesn't register in the game. It's just it's just so bad, and it happens so many times. And I've replayed the boss fight plenty of times because I was trying to get footage of stuff after the boss fight. And every single time, if your character is just standing a little bit differently, they will not evade the attack, and you're gonna have to go through like 3 first aid sprays. And I know the speedrunners are like, oh man, but I did it, blah 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 blah. I'm not built like you, dog. I am a normal gamer. I'm not built like you. All right. I think it could have been way better. The second version, I'll be honest with you, I've always just used an RPG to take this one out as soon as possible, but I liked how it looked, so I'll put could be better. But this was very underwhelming. Like this boss fight and the second one was more enjoyable than this. He looked cooler. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't great. And most of the time during this boss fight, you would just be against the wall and he would be hugging you like with his chest. Like it was just. And he had like the little things that he kind of like spit out that kind of gave like the poison, like the little poison sacks, but he only did that once during the fight because you usually destroy him before he could even do it twice or 3 times. I just think it was very underwhelming. They could have done a lot better. Next we have is this monster scene. Again, it wasn't a fight. It was just a whole bunch of okay, it wasn't trash, but it could have been like a boss fight. It wasn't a boss fight at all. It was just like, well, they were better than the 2 guys here. And it was better than the Garrador fight. But it was just a lot of quick time events. It wasn't really a boss fight at all. You just pressed a lot of buttons, especially when you were going through the lasers, and that was it. And then you ran away from him like twice. Like that was it. So it was technically better than him because you ran away from him once, so you ran away from him twice, and you did a couple of the regular, you know what I mean, quick time events. Wasn't that good. Next, moving on, Sadler, again, could have been better. Same thing. He had the same problem as him, where like if you just turned a little bit differently, you couldn't evade the attack. And to be honest with you, a lot of the attacks you couldn't even evade. I'm actually gonna put him down here too. Just not good. Not good at all. I think they could have done way better. It was very underwhelming as you got towards the end of the game in terms of boss fights, in my opinion. I think some of the boss fights in the beginning of the game were way more fleshed out and better. I'm guessing because, you know, most games, not everyone finishes games. They kind of play the first couple of hours, which is, you know, usually how people play games. So yeah, those first boss fights were way better than the last. Yeah. But I think my tier list is solid. I don't think I really would change much, to be honest with you. Let's just go over it one more time. The first boss fight with the black robe, very cool. Introduced some mechanics, and I was kind of like very excited to play it. What's it called? Is it El Gigant? I can't even pronounce it. Gigant. Okay, let me stop. The gigantic ogre boss. I'm just calling that Okay, I can't even say it because if I say it wrong, you guys are gonna make fun of me more. All right. This was really fun, little Spider-Man action. I thought it was really enjoyable. The second boss fight with the black robe, again, kind of enjoyable as the first, but the first is the first and the second is the second. So that's why I went a little bit down. These guys, super scary. The guys on the left, this guy was very easy to defeat. They were super scary. It was a very, very super scary situation, so I thought it was very good. Night fight, decent. This one, I liked how he looked, but it was kind of the same as this fight right over here. But I used the RPG most of the times on him, so it was just like a quick knockout. The Sadler fights again had the same problem as the U3 fight. The whole like you couldn't evade a lot of the attacks if you were just facing a little bit different direction. Kind of annoying. I know, skill issue, skill issue. They could have still made it better. This one wasn't really a fight, just two runaways and a quick time event. This one was like, yeah, just another enemy. These two, just another enemy. And this one wasn't a fight at all. This was just you running away. There you go. That's my tier list. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one.